All right. Hello, everyone. Make sure my volumes are high. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. All right. This week may be one of the most important um, set of things I'm going to read from. I went onto the World Economic Forum and I copied some of the stuff that they have all kinds of topics and situations. You can go and read these little summaries. And I took the ones I thought would be more important for us to know about, because this is what's going to happen. Every society has a ruling class, ruling caste, whatever you want to call it. And in this society, the ruling class rules absolutely. I don't care what you believe. I don't care what you feel. They decide what you eat, where you go to school, kind of what you learn, other than if you come here. But just to let you know, those of us who teach independently like me, I have 0 patrons on my Patreon. I've been doing Patreon for about 3-4 years. But everybody I know is sending their child to a school system that is controlled by the ruling class. They insane as hell, but they send them. I don't know. It's a weird thing to be. But like an elder told me, sometimes it's not good to know too much, and I know too much. That's what he told me. You know too much. That's why. It's better to just go along. It's better to be in the matrix. Just plug in. And that's what most people have done. Now, the reason why this is important is because plugging in is not good enough anymore. The ruling class doesn't want to govern over people anymore. And this is what you all need to understand. They don't want to deal with you people. They don't want to deal with us anymore. They don't want to govern us. They don't want to send us to school. They don't want to. Haven't you noticed everything is becoming automated and remote? They don't want to do all of that. It's too much work for the new ruling class, the children of the ruling class, the grandchildren of the old ruling class. They don't want to run things anymore. They just don't. And because you left everything in their hands, you're going to suffer. Or be free. But if you're not ready for freedom, freedom is horrible. Some people rather commit suicide than be free. And that's just the life we're in. So let's get on to this topic. Agile governance means more than just coordinating effective, efficient, and reliable public and private institutions to effectively manage problems. The term implies a forward-looking approach that seeks to anticipate problems before they materialize. Demands for agile governance have never been greater amid a lingering pandemic, conflict, and ongoing crisis of multilateralism, and the persistent weakness of many national governance systems. Its application is perhaps needed most in fast-changing, impactful areas like technology, health, sustainability, and economic development. So, and it says this briefing is based on the views of a wide range of experts from the World Economic Forum's expert network and is curated in partnership with Professor Helmut Anhier, Professor of Sociology at the Hertie School in Berlin. So that's just basically telling you who the professors are. You can go to the World Economic Forum website and you see all the subjects. So let's deal with this. Technology has now made people obsolete as far as labor is concerned, or almost obsolete. You still need people to do certain things, but those amount of things are becoming less and less. Like Graeber said, most of your jobs were bullshit jobs. They weren't jobs producing anything. The ruling class created a lot of jobs to keep you busy so that you could be engaged in the system itself. and you would never revolt because you're invested in this job. People whole self-esteem is wrapped around their jobs. Listen to when politicians say, well, you need, I always say that, well, you need good jobs so that people can go to work and have dignity again. That's not what a job is for. A job is not to give you dignity. It's not to give you self-esteem. It's not to give, jobs and work is there to produce. And you really only work for two things. And I said this in many videos, and this is the absolute truth. You work to master your skill and to solve problems. That's the only two reasons to work. But in this society, and in modern societies, but in this society really, they've created this other thing where you work to make money to get resources, where resources are free. It's just that the ruling class has put gates and walls around it and told you have to go there to get that paper thing and bring it to me. But it's getting to the point where they want to do less and less. And I like it. That's the reason I can come and teach you directly. People haven't caught on yet. One of the platforms I teach on, I've taught over 150 something people. It's still not a lot, but it does get some traffic because the classes are good. It's a better class than you're gonna get at definitely any high school, and at this point, many colleges. Because when you join my platform, when you join my Patreon, you can ask me questions indefinitely. I have a class on there on Toni Morrison. We can talk about it. I have a class in there on Wars of Racket with notes and video and everything, and we can go on and on and on and on. You can't do that at a university. Once you're finished, you're finished. You know? And you don't have tenured professors anymore. A lot of you have adjuncts. You have these people working like dogs. They don't have time to talk to students. There's no office hours and all of that in a lot of schools. So technology, it can be beneficial. We're moving into a new world where you're going to be a little more free. Now, here's the problem. I don't make enough resources. So I get subsidies because there's no other way to you can't force people to use my platform, but I'm doing the work. But the reason why people don't use my platform is because the ruling class has conditioned them into insanity. So you can't have people like me, which I was, just sleeping on the trains. I was sleeping on the trains and they swept me off the trains. And I had a 45 conversation with the people who swept me off the train and the nurse. And we were so engaged in the conversation. The nurse was like, listen, you're going to get me fired. I got to go take care of these other people that we swept off. I have to go make some, because we were talking about the system and the system and where I was going to go and where I wasn't going to go, and why most of the homeless people are not going to go to the shelter in New York City where you're sending them. They're not going to stay. You can take them, but they're not going to stay. You're going to be sweeping the same people off the train over and over and over again. And they sent me to a quote-unquote nicer shelter, which I found out the money that they're spending on shelters is insane. So, again, what would keep me off? Just you have to subsidize me on the front end. UBI is going to be the thing. You watch and see. It's going to be UBI. They want to get crisis before it happens. If you gave me UBI, if you give everybody UBI, nobody's going to be sleeping on the street. Because you're going to take your UBI, you're going to get off the street. One. If you can't because you have a mental illness or whatever the case may be, there will be whole institutions that rise up and they'll take control of your UBI to run the institution. There'll be adult living centers, there'll be mental health hospitals, whatever it would be. And most people are going to be like, well, if you're mentally ill, then you'll let the system do it. But if you have any same line left, you're gonna be like, I'm not giving my money to them. And I've been on the street, I've talked to people. There's more sane people on the street than you think. There's a lot of brilliant people living on the subway. It's a sad state. Healthcare. So I hadn't been to the doctor in a decade. I recently went to the doctor. I found a doctor online. I had to call someone to make that happen. So on the phone. So that's the doctor I wanted. They put me in, they scheduled an appointment. They text me to confirm the appointment. The day before the appointment, I had to do some other things. I tried to, again, be proactive. Tell me all the things I need to do. The person who scheduled the appointment didn't tell me. So at the last minute, I had to run around and do other things. Everything that I've been involved with in the last 2 to 3 years, housing shelters, vouchers, and all that, all the parts that was automated was fine. When I had to deal with another human being, everything goes awry. The future is automation. Sustainability, economic development. Most of us are working on here. We're doing gig work. Even a lot of people who do work, they work from home. Now, if you're a nurse or a doctor, no, you have to be in person. But even doctors are doing more things online, more consultations online, So we're moving toward a world where it's going to be automated. Now, there's going to be a lot of people left out because you have a lot of people that were working, not producing anything. And they didn't develop the mindset to say, solve problems. Right? And I've always been that way. How do we solve a problem? How do we do solutions? That's why when people tell me solutions, I know when people say they really want solutions to you, they're lying. When a person says, give me solutions, all you do is criticize, they don't want solutions. I've given them solutions. I've created a school on my platform. Hundreds of videos and classes. And I know that they're good classes because people take them on another platform. They pay for them. So I know the classes are good. And my rating is high. So, we're living in a new world. You're going to have to adapt to it. We're all going to have to adapt to it or not. Even how you get your food, if you think about it, there's all kinds of food delivery services. Now, I like to pick my own fruits and vegetables out. So I still like going to a store. Sometimes I go to a pantry. Pantries are given less and less, by the way. So the future is going to basically be, you're going to learn from home, remote learning. And I tell you, 2020 is the future. Whatever you did in 2020, that's going to be the future. Everybody's going to get a stimulus, or at least the poor people will get a stimulus, right? Because they might not make it universal. They might just make certain people under a certain amount. We'll get stimulus. You'll do some kind of gig work, or you'll figure something else out. I know people who went back to sewing in 2020 and was creating masks. Some people was creating dresses and clothes. I think you could create a delivery service. I know in the black neighborhood, we used to have guys in the neighborhood that would run people around to doctor's appointments and to the supermarket. We created Uber and Lyft before there was Uber and Lyft. Now that Uber and Lyft is getting expensive, that's a lane that you can go into. We all got Instagram, we all got Facebook. Listen, you text me, you cash at me, I come pick you up, take you where you need to go, or I come pick you up and you cash at me then. These opportunities are going to be sprouting up all over, but we're all going to be using tech. We're all going to be working for ourselves. It's stressful to work for yourself, but in a different way. You don't have someone over you saying dumb things, putting you down to boost their own egos up and things like that. So it's going to be a better world. It's a strange thing that the ruling class has come to the conclusion that radicals have been saying for decades and decades. But this is where we are. And trying to live the other way, you can see it's chaotic. It's chaos. You all know in your heart. I want you to imagine this. Just imagine. If you got to close your eyes, imagine. Go back to 2020. And let's just say you would have kept the child tax credit $300 a month for per child under 17. Right? You would have kept the stimulus $1,400, but not a day, not a quarter, a month for people who make 75,000 and under. You would have kept $1,400 a month for them. $2,800 for couple. And imagine they would have kept that the last 3-4 years. Where would we be? Where would you be? I want you to imagine it. Think about it. Would we be economically in free fall? Would stores have to lock up all their items? Would people be losing their minds, chopping off their parents' heads? Distress. And the reality asserting itself on us is causing people to lose their minds because they're living in bubbles, but the bubbles are being busted and people don't know how to react. Okay, so I think I'm happy with the way it's going. I'm kind of old and might not benefit from it much, but I think the young people in my family will benefit a lot from the New World Order, from the Great Reset. And for all you people saying, where's the money come from? Let me just give you 2 quick examples. I want you to think about this too. How much does it cost to provide social services to people? I want you to think about the welfare centers, the buildings, the staff. I want you to think about how much that costs. If you didn't have to pay that. And I know some radicals, some leftists like, no, you're going to get rid of the welfare systems and you're going to get rid of SNAP and you're going to get rid of all these things and give everybody just a stimulus. They're going to give you a UBI. They're going to get rid of the welfare system. They're going to do it. Because the ruling class doesn't want to run that. They're not. The new ruling class is not like the old slave master who needs to be near his slaves and sitting there on the plantation and watching his slaves work and all that. They don't want to be bothered with that nonsense, man. It's a new age. It's a new age. I'll be back to read more. What's the next one on the thing? There's one on global economy. There's one on climate change. We'll do that next reading. That'll probably be behind the paywall. But we'll see. The World Economic Forum. Very important. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you see. And tell me if I'm wrong. Until next time, please remember that you can support me by giving directly, becoming a sponsor, or hitting the links. Joining one of my platforms. I even give free samples on my Patreon. I just started doing that. And my store, my Etsy shop, where all my courses are, and you get the links to the classes and everything. All my scripts, I write film scripts, and all my books, they're all there. So, support. You might find something you really need. You might find something you want to homeschool your child. Um, so check it out. And until next time, please take care and please be safe. Like I said, people are losing it. The natural world is coming in on us, rightfully so. But just try to be safe.